to be able to start this class with you on how to build your following, and just begin to do that. One thing is about building a following is learning to create your culture. I want to talk to you about creating a culture, and being able to create, the culture around what it is that you want to see established, according to, your call, your vision, and your dream. Creating that culture allows you to be able to have a group that you can connect with, that enjoy what you offer, and to be able to, help people to grow and learn and be established in that culture as well. So, one thing that you want to begin to do is realize, as you build a following, what kind of culture do you want to build around your following? What is your desire? What is it that you want to accomplish, in your mission, and what it is you want to know and be heard, okay? Okay, so let's begin by doing this. I want you guys to do this with me. I want you guys to get a piece of paper out. We're going to talk about, I want to talk about, these are the 4 things that I want to talk about tonight. I want to possibly maybe talk about 5, but we're going to do 4 right now. So let me just open this up so that I can just type in here for you guys and stuff. But there's 4 things that I want to cover. Number 1, the first thing I want to talk about, in building your culture, is the thing about growing a following, the thing about growing a culture is we need to understand that I'm going to use this in conception of how we know as Christians and what it looks like. But in any culture that you're going to build, whether it's business, whether, you're growing a following, to be able to do, outreach ministry, church stuff, business stuff, whatever it is you do. I don't know what you do. Some people are learning this, and they're using it in business, or using it, getting their message out to the masses. I don't know exactly for sure 100% where you are at and what it is that you're wanting to do. But I want to talk about the 5 things. I think we're going to start with 4, and we might get into 5. But I want to talk about the key 4 things that it takes to really establish this culture. In every major following out there, let's look at like church, for example. In church, church has a mission. That's the first thing that a church has, is they have a mission. The second thing that we see in church is church has a missionary, right? And so a church has a mission and it has a missionary, right? So, the thing with the church, within its mission and within, the missionary that proclaims the mission, that shares the mission, there's always going to be that enemy in there. So there's always going to be an enemy to anything that you try to accomplish and do in your life, right? Or in your call or in your mission. There's going to be that enemy, right? And I'm going to break this down for you a little bit more. The 4th thing I want you to type in here is whoops, I did that wrong. Oh, it's 4. Okay. The 4th thing is in every culture, in every move, there's got to be a mission. There's got to be a missionary. There's always got to be something you're looking to overcome. There's always got to be that enemy. There's always got to, what I mean by an enemy, there's always got to be something that you're helping people through, something that you're helping people accomplish, a place that you're trying to take your following, what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish, how you're trying to help them. What is your purpose? What is your plan? And how are you going to establish that, and how are you going to help people? So what is it that they're trying to overcome, and how is it that you can help them? Okay. So with that, the 4th thing that we're going to have to really create in this thing is we're going to have to create a rituals. Let's do this. Okay. We're going to have to create rituals and rules. Now, we sometimes get scared with those things, but there's rituals and rules to everything. Now, within the culture that you're trying to create, within, the people that the following that you're building, you have to know where you're going. You have to know what you want, right? You got to understand the voice that's going to be spoken about you. You have to understand the, what is it you're trying to, proclaim. What is it you're trying to help people overcome? What is the enemy, and what is the solution to be able to help them? And I think, for an example, say it's weight loss. Okay, so the enemy is fat, right? Is laziness. It's that stuff. So at the end of the day, you're helping people to overcome, how to lose weight, how to lose fat, right? How to, get more energy in their life, to get more confidence in their life. So right, so you're helping them to overcome those particular enemies, right? So you're going to create rules and rituals and rules in this thing. The fifth thing here is I want to put this in, and this is probably one of the most critical things, and I put it at last, but yet it is very important, and that's your backstory. Now, the thing about your backstory here is we need a backstory to everything we do, meaning this. Let me use this as an example because we all know this really well. Like we know, let's just think about this for a second. We know, let's just use church, okay? So just the church, because we're all familiar with the church. So what is the mission of the church? What is the mission? The mission's to share the good news, right? The mission is to be able to help people, to love people, to help the widows, to the orphans, the hungry, those that are hurting, those that are stuck in sin and death mindset. Our mission is to help them, right? Now, let's think about this. Who's the missionary for the church? Okay, so we know that Jesus, for an example, was the initial missionary, so to speak, right? The mission was revealed through the missionary, Jesus. Okay, now me and you and us are the missionaries. We're the voice, right? And then we know, okay, what is the enemy of the church? Well, the enemy of the church, as we know, is the enemy, the devil, right? And what are some rituals and rules that the church plays by? Well, one ritual is they ritually, usually in most church sectors, is they have one meeting a week, right? So every week they get together, they have a meeting, right? And what are some common rules that if we were just to use, that everybody knows? What is a common rules that the church has? And if I was going to pick one right now, I think I would pick probably the Ten Commandments. Most people, see the Ten Commandments as the golden rules, so to speak, of Christianity, right? So we have the rituals where they have their meetings, once a week, and then we have the rules that they follow. And the cool thing is in every culture that's created, there needs to be a ritual. When you're creating a following, you need to create a ritual in there, right? You need to establish some rules. I mean, look at anything that anybody's done, that's created, success. Just look at how they have success. They have success. Why? Is they created rituals and they created rules to be established. And the thing is you got to create your rules according to the culture that you're creating, and your rules just might look different than mine, right? Because the culture that I'm creating is going to be a different call than your culture, but you still have to create that culture. You still have to begin to create those rituals for that. So maybe it looks like this. Maybe, for an example, let me use me just because I know what I do. Like I have a ritual of doing lives, right? So that's a ritual I do. So I do lives once a day or once every other day, right? Or I'll do prophetic lives, or I have a ritual of once a week in the inner circle. I do every Monday, I have a ritual that I do a class in the inner circle every single Monday. So that's a ritual, right? And what are some of the rules? So the thing is the rules are going to be like, what is your keys to seeing people be successful? What are the common rules that it's going to take for someone to achieve the success that they're looking for in the kingdom realities, to be able to be the best that they're going to be? What are those? You got to discover those for yourself, right? You got to discover those set of rules. Now just understand, in every great movement there's those particular rules. Let me give you an example here. Let's just use this. we're how many people on here are football fans? I'm a football fan, so let me just use this for an example. Let's just say the Dallas Cowboys, okay, which is probably not the best example since we haven't won a Super Bowl in a long time. But let's just use the Dallas Cowboys for an example. What is the common rule that every NFL team, was the number one thing they want every NFL team, has a desire to do? What's the number one thing? You guys know what it is? It's to win a Super Bowl, right? That's the number one thing that that's the mission. That's the number one mission, so to speak, that the Dallas Cowboys have every single year, is to win a Super Bowl, right? So that's what they have every year. So let me ask you, like, when you think about the Dallas Cowboys, for an example, who would you see as the missionary? For an example of this, who would you see as the missionary of the Dallas Cowboys? Right? Well, I'm a Cowboy fan, so I would say, obviously we know that it would be easy to say, like, right now in this season for the Cowboys, I think anybody would probably say Jerry Jones, right? He's the voice, but really, if you think about it, Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott, right? These guys are really the missionaries, right? So you might see like Zeke, right, and Dak. Okay, so these guys are be like the missionaries for the Dallas Cowboys, right? Which I think most of us would probably want to say Jerry Jones if you're a Cowboy fan at all, or even know anything about the Cowboys, right? So here it is. Who is the enemy for the Dallas Cowboys? What is the enemy here? Well, I think the obvious answer to that would be any NFL team that they play, right? So that would be the enemy for them. Okay. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to, paint a portrait here, right? So let's look at some of how this is set up for even a team to be successful in football. So let's look at this. Okay, so for a Dallas Cowboy, their common goal is to win a Super Bowl. The missionary would be like Zeke and Dak. Okay, the enemy would pretty much be any team that they're going to play that year. That's the one that's stopping them, that's trying to stop them from achieving their goals, right? Now, what are some rituals that they go through? Well, practice a daily. So let's just say 4 here. They uh, practice. Okay, that would be a ritual, right? What's another one? Uh, Game day. That's a ritual, right? Now, what would be some rules? Let's think about this for a second. What might be some rules here, that they have? Like they got a curfew, so they might have I don't know if I spelled that right, curfew. They have a particular curfew they have to do. They gotta watch film. So that might be another, rule that they have to do, right? Another rule, they got to be at practice. Okay. So I'm kind of giving you an idea here what this looks like, right? And so these are the most common things that, like, for the Cowboys to be able to be successful, they have a mission to win the Super Bowl. They have their missionaries. These are the top players that are out there, which you could actually say here for the missionaries here, you could actually say the football team. Okay, the whole team. So there's the leader of the missionary, which would be you, right? Well, everyone that you train and equip and that you help to overcome, these guys become missionaries to the culture that you're creating, that are getting the word out there, right? So the cool thing about creating a following, is we got to be able to create these 4 things, and we got to be able to take time and understand how to put this stuff together. Now, every company, or any company, or any ministry or anything, they put this together uniquely like this, right? And I'm just giving you some tips and strategies that you can walk away and discover for yourself. What is your mission? You are the missionary, okay, of that mission. What is the enemy? What is the pain? What is it that you want to overcome in that mission? Now, maybe you have a feeding ministry. Maybe you're wanting to start a business, or whatever it is. So what is it that is the most common enemy? You're going to have to create some rituals, whether you're creating time to study, right? You're creating weekly meetings like I do, right? Whatever it is that you create, those are becoming your rituals. And then you have to have the rules, like, hey, you got to do this, and this, right? Like the 10 Commandments, for an example, of the church, right? Those are commands. Those would be, in essence, like rules, so to speak. And the ones Jesus gave: love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your. That's a command, right? That's the rule. That's the golden rule, right? You can look at this. Let's look at it from a couple different positions. Let's look at examples. Let's think about this for example. Let's look at Think and Grow Rich for an example. Napoleon Hill. What was his mission? Well, I think it's the title of the book, Think and Grow Rich, right? That's the mission. Who's the missionary for Think and Grow Rich? Well, we could say Napoleon Hill, right? You know, who was the enemy? Well, if we understand that there's a second book that Napoleon Hill put out. This is The Devil's Something. You have to watch it, but he talks about drifters, people that are just drifting. Like, there's those that are really super serious in life, that want to accomplish things, get things done, and then those that are just kind of passing through life, that are just kind of drifters and drifting through. So in essence, he was talking about the drifters, in a sense, where the enemy. Those are the ones that were getting caught in certain mindsets and belief systems that were keeping them from walking out the call in their life, right? And so that ended up being the enemy. What were the rules? Well, if you read Think and Grow Rich, for an example, by Napoleon Hill, he had 16 laws. He had 16 rules in his book, right? So the cool thing is in any course or any training or anything that you put out, it's good to do something like, the 7 habits or the 7 keys or the 5 rules or the 5 laws, right? These kind of things make a big difference. These kind of things allow people to get some structure. Because think about this for a second. What people really want is people don't want suggestions. They want to be commanded. They want commandments. They don't want suggestions. Let me give you an example in scripture. Moses offered to take everybody up with him, and they were like, no, 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 you go and just tell him whatever he says, whatever commands he gives, bring them down and we'll do them, right? So Moses suggested they all go. Well, they didn't want that suggestion. They just wanted the command. Well, majority of humanity just wants commands. They don't want suggestions, right? So it's good, because I think in some cases what happens is we want to be able to understand that we want to accomplish something, and we want to know how to get there, and we want to experience success or victory in whatever area of our life. And a lot of time what people want are results. They're really not looking for logistics, but yet at the end of the day, they don't realize it's the logistics to get them the results, right? Like the rules I make, to set up to fast certain amount of days, to eat in a certain style of food. On certain days I eat this, or I do this, or I only eat within a calorie perspective, of a certain amount of calories, each day. See, those are rules. See, but when I talk like that, they're like, wait. I just want the magic pill. Like, I want just the results. So when you come at them with logistics, they don't want it, but yet they want it. They really want the command, right? They want the command. They don't want suggestions. See, so you, as being a leader, you got to be able to put together some rules to be able to lead your group in the direction that you want to go. That's what they want. They really want that. Why? Is because 9 times out of 10, they're coming to you because their life's all over the place, and they haven't been able to put the pieces together, and they're scattered. So what happens is your culture and the rules that you put, or the steps that you put together to be able to help people be successful, that organizes them to get focused and to move forward, right? So this is what you're doing by creating this for people. So I just really want to encourage you to do that. Every company, every ministry, everything does this. Like I give you an example of an NFL team right here, right? I gave you an example of Napoleon Hill. Here, let's just use another one. Let's do it. Let's do one everybody knows, like really familiar with. Like you guys are familiar with Apple, right? Let's just use Apple, okay? So, for an example, Apple. What is the mission of Apple? Do you guys know what the mission of Apple is? What is the mission of Apple? The mission of Apple is to think different. That's the mission of Apple. They're thinking just a little bit different, right? Now, let me ask you, who's the missionary for Apple? Who is it? Right? Steve Jobs, he's the missionary. Now, let me ask you, who's the enemy of Apple? You know who the enemy is? PC, Microsoft, right? So this is the enemy of it. What is the ritual of Apple? Well, yearly they have their big organizational meetings where they do their presentations, right? And they release their new phones, and you notice it's really funny is you know they're always releasing a new iPhone and iPad and iPod, and everything is just something, right? So they're always releasing something in their new year or new releases, right? So they always have a yearly release, right, that they do, or sometimes now they have more than a yearly, but at the end of the day, that's their ritual, right? That's what they do, and so what is their law? What is the law of them? Well, I think their law is don't buy PC. Like, right? Like, I mean, how many people, like, if you're a Mac user, you don't like PC. If you like PC, you don't like Apple, right? So they're like, don't buy PC, right? Like that's there. So this is one other thing that I left out that I didn't put in here with the backstory that you can actually add in here. Every group and every organization has a theme. Let me use it like this. They have this for an example. Let me just go ahead and type it in right over here. Every group has insider. Let me see if I spell this right. Language. If I spell it wrong, I'm sorry. All right, they have an insider language, right? Everybody has an insider language. Let's just think about this. Let's go back to what we were talking earlier, about the church. What is, because we're all familiar with this, what is the insider language of the church, right? What is it? The word of God, glorify God, right? These are different insider languages that are insider words, right? What would be an insider word for Apple? It would be like things that nobody else uses, right? And this is the thing that's only known by the insiders, right? So it kind of in essence, let me see if I can do this real quick. It kind of looks like, let me see if I can draw. Boom. So here's a circle, and then here's another circle. So I didn't do very good on my circles here, but this is a insider, okay, is in this circle here. So this circle is an insider. This circle out here is an outsider. Okay, so this is an outsider. So the thing is the insiders got the scoop, right? So when you're creating your culture, you're following, you're creating an insider scoop. You're going to have a language, a lingo that's only like your inside group really knows, right? And this is kind of fun to do because it really differentiates between those who are really close to you and those who are just kind of outsiders. So the thing is the insiders are always kind of happy because they're always in it and they understand what they're in. Then you got the outsiders that are always trying to get in, that feel like they're on the outside trying to get in, and they kind of feel sad. They're not as happy as the insiders, right? So the key is here is that when you're creating your mission, right, and you're creating this thing and you're laying it out, you got to understand that it's important to have an insider lingo, right? When you have that insider lingo, it really begins to unlock some things, for the people to really connect at a, you know, at a real meaningful level. Here's another insider for an example is like Think and Grow Rich. I keep wanting to say Christ-minded, my book, right? But Think and Grow Rich, for an example, they had a definite purpose, a definition or a definite of purpose, right? It was an insider word that was in Think and Grow Christ-minded, right? That was a word that was inside. So, the thing is that each one would have an insider word. So have those insider languages, those insider words, those things that just connect with you and your group. I want to encourage you to do that, right? And what this does is it just allows that connection within your group to really gel and connect strong together in the whole process of what you're growing in and learning through. Okay, so I just want to be able just to encourage you guys in this whole thing, and here's a couple things I want to say about rules. Here's some tips I want to give you. Okay, so if you want to take a picture of this real quick, go ahead. I want to give you about 5 seconds. And then I want to erase this right here, okay? And so here we go. Okay, let me erase this real quick. Okay, so here's some ideas that I want to encourage you guys. Like for me, training you right here, within social media. So here, this is some rules, so to speak, that I want you guys to create for yourself. Is like one rule is this: is make a rule for yourself to take action daily. Take daily action. Right? This is one right here. I want you guys to begin to take those daily actions that you need to take to be able to do what it is you're called. Don't wait around. One of the biggest things is people do is they wait around. I want to encourage you, don't be that person. Don't wait around. Don't wait for any. You jump on it now. Right? Now's the time. Okay. So it's important that you take action right now. Okay. So the second thing that I want you guys to do here is to learn to bet on yourself. Learn to bet on yourself. What do I mean by that? This is what I mean by it. Bet on yourself. Invest in yourself. Really believe in yourself. Those who really believe in what they're doing, they're not scared to invest. Invest in yourself. Really think about this, guys. I want you to begin to think about investing into yourself. This is super important. You understand this, right? If you need help, on directions, if maybe you want to figure out, websites and funnels, and you want to figure out, for an example, social media marketing and how to do that stuff, and you want to learn how to write copy, you want to learn the stuff that it takes to be able to really build this culture out, and you're really like rambunctious and you're willing to really invest in yourself, just reach out to me, let me know, and I'll connect you with those things that you need. Okay, but at the end of the day, invest in yourself. What do you invest in? Well, invest in this. Like I read a lot, guys. I read. I mean, yes, I study the Bible like crazy. I study the Word of God, but I also grow and learn every day. Like I'm reading books like this right here, right? By Pastor John Maxwell, right? So I read a lot. I study. I invest into myself like that. So I want to encourage you to bet on yourself. Okay, invest in yourself. This is and number three. Here's the number three thing I want you to think about, and this is important right here. Okay, number three. It's get a little better every day. every day. Get a little better. What am I saying? Learn something new. Push yourself a little bit more, right? If you're working a full-time job right now, right, and commit to personal development 1 hour a day. What I mean by personal development is, learn that mindset, learn the skill sets that needs to be successful in this thing. Invest into trainings, get on and learn, right? If you don't have money, then start finding certain people you like. And if you don't know who, then just let me know and I'll connect you with some people, right? You can connect with. There's one that I know that's in this group is Corey Gray, right? A really awesome guy, and he does really awesome. Reach out to him, let him know that Paulie B sent you, right? Say, hey, Paulie B referred me to you, and just go and talk to Corey. Corey's really awesome at this. But the thing is get around, someone or that can help point you in the right direction. But this is the key. Whether you have finances to invest in yourself or you don't, it's not about money. It's about the time you invest in yourself. Reading books, studying, growing, learning the mindset, skill sets. There's so much information out there on YouTube today. The only thing that's crazy about YouTube is you have to spend hours of time to research to find how to put the pieces of the puzzle together, right? So what's cool is when you can connect with, certain programs and stuff that will help connect it. What it is, it's all together in one spot. You're focused, you're getting things done right now. You're learning from one person. What'll happen is a lot of times people will go and they'll learn from lots of people, and then they get confused and frustrated in the process. And you got to eliminate that stuff. It's good just to have one person you're learning from and just stick with that person and grow, 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 grow. That's my advice to you. I'm not saying that you can't, when it comes to personal development and stuff like that, you can't. But when it comes to learning a skill, you go to your teacher, get a teacher, and learn from that teacher. And, if you're going to learn from someone else, finish what you're doing with one teacher before you go to another one, right? That's my one piece of advice for you. But anyways, get a little bit better every day. That's the key, guys. I want to encourage you every single day, just get a little bit better, okay? Now, this is my last piece of advice here for you. Aim for mastery, okay? Not materials. Aim for mastery, not materials, okay? This is your aim. Okay? Material is good. But if you're not mastering the material that you're never going to learn the skill set you need to be able to be victorious, okay? So it's really important that you aim for mastery, not just materials. I do say the same thing when I'm discipling people, when you're discipling people. It's like you can have all the knowledge of God you can ever dream of, and everybody thinks knowledge is the key, and it is the key. But if they don't know how to use an exercise, they never understand the skill it takes to be able to rightly discern, make decisions, be able to walk through certain things in life. They got to learn how to master the material. See, so you got to become a master of it. This is why I say just a little bit every day. Continue to get better every single day, and it'll help you to be able to launch in and growing a solid following. To see, I can give you tips. I want to give you lots of tips and stuff in here, but these tips are going to help you build a following. But what I mean by build a following isn't just going out and get a bunch of people, but what do you do with the following you get? You're going to build a culture, right? You build a culture. Bethel Church has built a culture, whether you like them or you don't. They built a culture. You're building a culture around what it is that God, the vision, the mission that God put in your heart. You're becoming the missionary of that vision. You're taking whatever the enemy is of that. If you're dealing with single moms or single parents or children or or overcoming addictions, whatever it is, right? You're working on what it is that's the enemy, and you're creating answers for that, and you're giving them rituals and rules that they're going through to be able to create this following, right? This tight knit following. Insider, you're going to have that insider language just for your group, just for your culture, just for your tribe, so to speak, right? And then also always have the backstory. What's the backstory of Christianity? Jesus died on the cross, he resurrected 3 days later, and now he's at the right hand of the Father, right? So that is the backstory. Know your backstory for your mission and what God has given you. Have your story as the backstory and share your story. Master your story. Start looking on YouTube on how to tell your story, how to share your story and learn that story. And that story needs to be your pitch in everything you do. So guys, I hope this helps you to be able to build a solid teaching. Go ahead and comment down below. Let me know what you think. Any thoughts, questions, anything you have. Just let me know. Share in the comment section. I appreciate you guys coming. I hope this blesses you. Continue to be amazing, guys. We love you. You guys are awesome. Again, like I said, any questions, feel free to ask. Okay, guys? Love you, Moses. Have an amazing day in Jesus.